Yeah, very disappointed in the outcome. Goes without saying. The positives are obvious. We hung in when it got to be a 10-point deficit in the fourth. Came back, got a lead, and the thing just went back and forth from there. Obviously, concerned with our defense. Feel like we obviously got to do better. So we'll look at that closely. But this is it's a tough start.
Yeah. What did you see on those two offensive foul calls in overtime?
I haven't looked at the replays yet, or I haven't looked at the film, so can't. I really can't give you an assessment. The one I want to look at is the illegal defense call with 2 minutes to go in overtime. That one, I thought he cleansed himself, but I've got to look at it.
Defense seemed to allow you to pull back in the game in the fourth quarter. Did you guys do anything different in the fourth than the first three quarters?
Well, we went to zone, and zone disrupted their rhythm for a stretch there, and then then they were able to get a couple threes in. Bertans hit a tough one. Dinwiddie hit a tough one, and it's just the shot making right now in the league is just it's amazing to watch, beyond belief, really. So you got to absorb that, and you got to try to make it tougher on those guys to get good looks, and keep going. We obviously had some really strong individual performances, which is great, but we're in the midst of a very tough opening schedule of games, and we got to get home quickly and regroup for tomorrow.
Pat Boyle.
Rick, you had a 6-point lead down the stretch in the fourth quarter and then a 6-point lead there early in overtime. What kept you guys from being able to close both of those two scenarios out tonight?
Yeah, I think in both cases, we had a couple of good shots that didn't go in, and then they were able to score. I can't give you the exact sequence of events. I just don't have it exact in my mind. But, you don't want to put yourself in a position where it just becomes make or miss, especially on the road. But again, I'm really pleased with our guys' wherewithal to hang in down 10 in the fourth on the road, get the lead back. But we're one possession away, in these first two games from being two possessions, one possession in each game, from being a 2-0 basketball team, and so the margins are very, very slim.
These are a couple of tough ones to get over mentally, but physically too, especially when you go into overtime and you've got Miami here in the building tomorrow. What's the key to overcoming all of that with such a quick turnaround and a good opponent in your building?
Get out of here quickly, get some good food, get some rest, get home, and then come back in tomorrow afternoon and do a quick prep and get ready to go. Miami's got a great roster. They played a phenomenal game last night and beat the world champs handily. So obviously, we got our hands full. But in this league, there's always an opportunity pretty soon to come, and that'll be the case tomorrow.
Scott Agnes.
Rick, Myles had a career game, and it talked about throughout camp about how offensively he's as involved as he's ever been. What stood out to you about the way in which he was able to contribute?
Yeah, he was tremendous. Both ends. He always does a lot of great things defensively. Offensively, when he keeps it simple and plays to his strengths, he's a high impact player, and that's exactly what he did tonight. You know, he shot open shots. He rolled with purpose and force. And, you know, he made simple plays with the ball, you know. So it was great to see, happy for him. But you know, right now we've really got to focus on, you know, the little things that we need to do to get a win in the left column.
Tony East.
Greg, the third quarter was a struggle again, like it was in the opening night game. Is there something about coming out of halftime that's been difficult for this team, or just a coincidence it was the same quarter again?
Good question. We're going to have to examine that closely. It certainly, I don't see any reason that it should be the case, but it certainly gives us an area to focus on.
So many things happened in that overtime. What did you see of those two offensive fouls the Pacers got called?
I think they were tough calls, you know. At the end of the game, we can't afford those mistakes, you know. I don't think none of them were, but the refs called it, and we just had to get stops on the other end.
What do you think the Pacers' state of mind is after playing well in long stretches of both games and having 2 1-point road losses?
It definitely sucks, you know. These hurt, you know, playing so many minutes, losing by 1 point in overtime, end of the game. But we just gotta look at the bright side, you know. We did do a lot of good things. Tomorrow's another fight. We gotta wash this away, and we're at home with our fans. We haven't seen them in a while, and we gotta come out and play really hard, compete, and win the game.
Pat, go ahead.
Domas, despite the defensive challenges, you guys have put yourselves in a position to win late in these first two games. Why do you feel like you weren't able to close these opponents out? And has there been anything consistent with why that has been in these first two?
Tough shots, you know. They made a lot of tough shots. Obviously, there's areas for us to improve, but we're on the road. They get going, crowd gets going, energy. We know this happens, you know. Same thing happens to us when we're at home with our fans. So we just can't let it get to that point. In overtime, we got up to a 6-point lead. We should have finished the game there.
What's the player's mindset after two such hard-fought 1-point road losses when long stretches of both games the Pacers played so well?
Flush it, move on. We have a game tomorrow. You know, it's unfortunate. We lost both games by 1 point, fought hard, but sometimes it's just not enough. So when we look at our wounds, we watch the film, but it's tough business. You know, we gotta keep rolling.
I feel like tonight, the way you performed on offense with career high 40 was just kind of a manifestation of what you've done and felt throughout the preseason and training camp?
Yeah, I was disappointed the way I played in the first game, and you know, I think the best players in this league are able to bounce back. And you know, I told myself tonight that it was gonna be one of those nights. You know, I'm capable of doing this any given night. You know, this happened to be the night where I got hot, and you know, I was going to continue to keep on building off this momentum.
And speaking of momentum, it'd be easy to pick out what the defensive problems were the last two games, but do you feel like the way you climbed back into it with fourth quarter defense is maybe a signal that you can reverse that?
Yeah, you know, you take the good with the good and the bad with the bad. You know, we did some great things tonight, and we did some things not so well. So, like I said, we watched the film, and we continue to learn from it.
Pat?
Myles, what's the challenge mentally to have a career night like you had, to have everything working in the way you did, but not be able to celebrate it in a victory like I know you would have liked to?
It's frustrating. You know, from a personal standpoint, like I said, this is something that I want people to get accustomed to. I think this is the way I can play night in and night out. You know, like I said, tonight just happened to be my night. Continue to play with confidence. But as a team, you know, this one hurts. You know, these are two games that we could have won. But you know, you got to flush it and move on. It's a long season. You know, we got a long road ahead of us, and we just continue to keep moving forward.
Scott?
Myles, did you specifically change anything, try to start the game fast, anything like that to correct from what you did last game?
I just think the best players in this league are able to find motivation from something. You know, I hear people talking, I hear fans talking sometimes, and I think that's kind of what got me going tonight. It's just, like I said, being frustrated from last game and then just finding something to piss myself off, I guess. And I wanted to start hot and wanted to get myself out the gates rolling, and that's what that was.
Pat, go ahead.
Myles, what's the key to overcoming mentally, first and foremost, a couple of tough losses, but then also physically, a lot of minutes played by a lot of guys tonight and a back-to-back tomorrow with a good opponent in your building?
That's what we signed up for. We recover tonight, we get in late, handle our business in the morning, and then just be ready to play tomorrow. I think from a mental standpoint, you can't let this, dawn on you. It's one of those things that you continue to, worry about, what I did wrong this game or what could have went better this game. It can trickle into the next game. You don't want that to happen. So, we watch the film on in the morning or whenever we do, and like I said, it's tough business. We got another game tomorrow against a tough opponent, so we just got to be ready for what's to come.
Cool. Thanks, Myles.
All right.